Okay, we are on air. Welcome to the CosCast, episode 25. Yay! We are doing a special interview episode today with the wonderful Chikara Cosplay from Denmark.
Woo!
And yeah, we are missing one of our main hosts today because she's sadly not feeling well, so we're going to have to deal without. It'll be hard, but we'll manage.
Yeah.
So feel better, Aniasia. So we can start by introducing ourselves. I am your main host. My name is Pixie Dust Cosplay, and with me I have my lovely co-host,
Annabella Cosplay.
Yes, that's right. And we have a usual segment with us every weekend, and that is cosplay progress. So we're going to start off with that first, and that is what have we done cosplay-wise this week? And maybe you want to start, Annabella. Have you done something cosplay related?
I've been extremely lazy on that point this week, but I have been looking for some wigs because I have decided that I need more wigs.
Yes.
Because why not?
Exactly, because why not? Because
You
reasons.
don't need any wigs. You always need wigs.
Yes.
Yeah, wigs is becoming an obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, myself, I haven't really done anything cosplay related, but I did dye my hair, so I went from black to orange and kind of whitish, yellowish blonde. I don't know what to call it. So when my hair was still wet, I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and went, wow, I look from the chick from Fifth Element. By accident, so... That
Happy
happened.
accident.
Classic cosplay.
Yes, maybe. Yeah, so it was originally going to be like a more natural ginger, but I kind of like this, so I'll keep it for a while, I think.
Yeah.
That can happen too.
That can happen. How about you, Chikara? Have you done anything cosplay related this week?
Well, actually, I did do something cosplay related this week, but for once it wasn't sewing. I've been putting highlights and lowlights in my upcoming Naruto wig because I'm a proud Narutard and have always been. Woo. But actually, I also chose to not do anything cosplay related for the rest of the month, fabric-wise, because of money issues. So that could happen to everyone.
Yeah, we all feel you. You have my sympathies.
Yeah.
Hurts.
A moment of silence for Chikara's missing fabrics. Yeah, no. Well, then let's move on. Let's not linger there. The next segment on our list is Cosplay News, where we discuss anything new or fun or interesting that's happened in the cosplay community during the past week. And we could start off by letting you guys know that in Kristiansand there will be a comic book like festival called Stribefeber. Very soon, during this month, at least I think it's the 13th or 14th or something.
If it's the 13th or the 14th, then it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's soon, basically. And then there's also Raptus in Bergen from the 18th to the 20th of September, and then there's MetroCon in Stavanger the 19th to the 20th of September. I think a lot of the Norwegian cosplayers are going to MetroCon, it seems.
Yeah, it seems like it. I am not, though.
No, I can't afford it right now. We're moving soon, so I have to save all my monies for moving. It sucks.
Yeah.
It is. On another note, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I don't think I did. But BioWare have had a fashion show at PAX where they showed off some new Mass Effect and Dragon Age merch. Lots of shirts and leggings and some dresses and things inspired by Dragon Age Inquisition and Mass Effect.
I think it's really cool that it's like an actual collection and not only T-shirts, and other stuff too. So it's kind of fashiony.
Yeah, it could totally be a clothing line that it didn't have to be connected with the game at all.
Like, nerd clothing is probably some of the best things that I know. I don't own a single piece of like black milk clothing, but if I did, it would be all of the nerd lines, all of them, because they're so pretty. I don't understand why more companies don't do this, because Honestly, it would sell so well to all of us that has a little bit of a fashionista on the inside.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I have a theoretical black milk addiction. I can't afford to buy black milk clothing.
Yeah.
Because one, the pieces are a little expensive, and then you have shipping and everything on top of that, and it just becomes ridiculously expensive. But they have so many fucking amazing things. Oh.
Yeah, as well as like the Boys Avenue on Children's Clothing Store also have like amazing clothes, but they're so tiny. Why can't they fit me?
Yeah.
It's sad. So yeah, they haven't launched the collection yet in their online stores, only parts of it, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of it, because I will definitely have to buy some of it, because it looks awesome.
Indeed it does.
Some Inquisitor leggings and some things like that. Needs it.
I really should get through like Origins. They say it helps playing number 2 first and then going back to Origins.
Mm-hmm.
So I might try doing that.
Yeah.
I'm replaying Origins right now, actually. So the plan is to go through all of them in succession.
Yeah, okay. I feel like it's really hard to sort of get into it. Like it takes a long time before the story actually starts.
In which one? In
Origins?
Yeah, well,
like
I guess.
For real, like you go on a lot of going around and like fighting things and like, ugh.
Well, it's a classic RPG, only it was more interactive. You know, you can talk more to the people in your party and actually establish relationships and stuff, which was, I think, one of the reasons that made it so popular.
Yeah, I think the romancing is.
Feel of it.
Yeah. Like I have a friend when the new announcement with was it a DLC that was just announced? Or when that was announced, she literally cried because she'd been romancing him and like, I won't spoil anything because I know it's sort of like old news, but for people who haven't played it, but she cried a lot at the end of the game, and now that the new one was announced, she cried more.
I'm so happy she could continue.
Yeah, she's really excited.
Yeah, but no, I think Dragon Age Inquisition has brought a lot of people to tears. Chikara Cosplay actually cried at the end of the newest DLC, I think. So it's emotional stuff once you get really into it.
Well, of course, if you romanced people, like relationships are serious, right?
They are, even if they are just pixels on a screen.
But important pixels.
Yes.
It's like reading a book, only playing it instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
More interactive.
No, well, I have no high ground. Like Naruto's probably one big time obsession, especially right now, because my friends are starting to make cosplays from it everywhere, and I'm just like, I can't count how many times that I've cried over that series, both the manga and like the movies, and still crying. Every time.
I get attached to characters. When Dumbledore died in Harry Potter when I was a little younger, I cried.
I actually didn't.
Put the book down.
It was so weird because you're getting really attached and it was really shocking, but I didn't cry. It was so weird. I was just like, oh well, there he went.
Yeah. Yeah, he was old anyway.
It's so weird.
But have you guys seen this thing that's been floating around the internet about the disabled student who turned his wheelchair into like this epic Mad Max cosplay?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I have not.
Okay, I'll send you a link to it here in the chat.
This is now a reaction video, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, in the chat here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see
there
it.
should be a blue bubble.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So it should be there.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
Oh my god, that is the coolest thing that I've seen. Oh, he looks so happy.
I know. He's an engineering student too, so he made all of it by himself apparently.
It's so hard to see that he's that big because the whole thing is so big with the car and everything. That is amazing.
Yeah, it just shows that there are no obstacles. You can cosplay no matter who you are.
Like, I don't wish that I lost an arm, but when I watched, like, Fury Road, I was like, oh my god, I want to cosplay her, but I have an arm. That's going to be a problem.
The arm? Yeah.
That's going to be a problem. Oh, he's So cool, though.
Yeah. So kudos
So
to
great.
Ben Carpenter for making this awesome, awesome Mad Max cosplay. You,
Yeah.
sir, are a hero.
Such
all I have to say.
inspiration, though. I need to up my game.
The feels.
The feels.
The feels. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen this yet, I'll put a link in the show notes so you can find it, or you can probably find it if you're on boardpanda.com. Yeah, it's just awesome. It's so awesome.
Yes.
He should be worshipped. But yeah, I think that's all for the cosplay news for this week, so we can move on to the main event, which is interviewing you, Chikara. So we have a list of questions that we want to ask you, and Sunniva, do you want to start asking some, or should I just go ahead?
You can start.
Okay. Well, we'll just start basic stuff. When did you start cosplaying, and what got you interested in cosplay in the first place?
Okay, so I started cosplaying in May 2009 at SVS Con, which is sadly a con that has chosen to close its doors forever. It was a very special con, like very small con, very cozy.
In Denmark?
In Denmark, yeah, in like the main island of Denmark, by which I mean Finland. But what got me into cosplay in the first place was actually me taking an evening course in Japanese in my spare time. I was in like 8th grade back then, and I met these two crazy people that was like, oh, well, yeah, we watch that crazy Japanese comics, whatever, too, and you should totally join us for this event, or well, maybe not join us, but at least come and like see it, and we'll like show you around and whatever. And they told me about this thing called cosplay where people dressed up as the characters, and I was like, well, I should probably do that too to not be the odd one out, right? So I did like a closet cosplay of Misa Amane, and sadly I've lost the one picture that was on it on the internet. I think somebody took it down, the one who posted it to Facebook. But it was actually pretty decent. Like it was okay. Like it was very weeaboo like, but it was pretty okay. Like I had a wig on. It was pretty big.
Yeah, it's a big thing to buy your first wig.
First cosplay, right? So that was sort of how it began, and those two is two of my most treasured friends today. So yeah.
Funny how circumstance and happy accidents just lead you
so
somewhere.
Weird, right? It's like, by the way, this is your life now.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Gateway drug, Japanese course.
It's nice to have some stuff to do with your friends as well, like a common thing to do and talk about.
Yeah, and that was just there because they were going on vacation, so they wanted to sort of be able to ask where the bathroom is and all that stuff. So, yeah.
By the way, I promised JC that I would ask you one question, but they have two questions. So I'm going to do the one first.
Okay.
How can you be so freaking adorable all the time, or gorgeous? I think were the words. So.
I saw it just before we hooked up on here. It's like, God damn it. She's such a cute person.
Yeah, she's adorable.
I was like, ugh.
She's very eager and very, passionate about cosplay. So it's always very fun to talk to her.
Yeah.
And also, they've written, Dear Chikara, you are by far one of the most charming, beautiful, and lovable cosplayers I know, and it was an absolute pleasure getting to know you during the NCC. Since we share a love of beautiful seams, and yours are truly seamgasms. #seamgasm. Why don't you share your top 3 tips on how you get them so perfect?
Oh my. I iron them. Actually, ironing your seams, like when you sew together 2 pieces of fabric and you have the seam sort of in the middle, like there. You need to split the seam on the back side of your fabric. You need to split it and then iron that so it's all flat on both sides, so that what's the outermost part of that sort of bend you'll get on each piece of fabric is the only thing touching. That will make you have perfectly flat seams all over your costume, and it'll make it seem so much more professional. That, as well as sort of overlocking, if you have an overlocker, or zigzagging over the edges of your fabric so that it doesn't fray and tear, also helps a whole bunch. Besides that, interfacing is probably one of my most used things, either to add grip to a material that is too thin, or to help a material that needs to, for example, if you use a satin that needs to be close to your body, they can sometimes rip in the seam because the satin isn't strong by itself. So if you put interfacing on the back, either stretch or whatever that needs to, if you still need stretchy properties in your fabric, you don't need a stretch, for example. If you put that on the back, that will help you a lot to sort of strengthen your seam. But also, if you need a stiff color that needs to stand, or if you have sort of a bend in a jacket that needs to fold the right way, if you stiffen it off, it's a lot easier to make it stay where you need it.
So yeah, it's like that white, like semi-see-through, like Vaseline.
Yeah, and then with I usually use the one with the glue on, because if you don't have the glue on, you need to stitch it by hand, and it'll take forever.
That's
like,
yeah. Well, that are some very good tips for people who are interested in upping their seam game.
If not, they can always write me. I'm always happy to help. So, like, usually, like, well-researched questions are way easier to answer than, like, just, like, how do you do this cosplay? So, like, if you have a specific question or anything you want to ask, or, like, you can take a photo of what you're doing, and I'll try to guide you the best I can on text. So just write me on my Facebook page if you need any help.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's really nice. I understand why JC says you're a really, really nice person.
Yes, Chikara is very friendly.
Yeah.
I need to be, like, if I ever, like, get big numbers of followers, I can't do this anymore, so I need to, like, utilize my time now. Like,
yeah, while you're still small enough to have time for everyone.
I, like, can, like, pay attention to everything. It's important before I grow up.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. What inspires you to choose to cosplay a certain character? Like, how do you choose?
Yeah, it's very different. I usually choose a character that I love a lot, which is the case with San or Ranma or Yoko, for example, Wonder Woman. I love these characters very much. They're very close to my person, and I think they represent some part of me in some way. And I in that way, I relate to them a lot. But for example, with the Sakiso costume, my merry-go-round horse, and the musketeer from Kanado Spada that I did for the NCC. I chose for design reasons and for the challenge in making the costume, because I like sewing. I like the cool crafting things, figuring out patterns work, how I need to put them together, how the materials work, and whatever. So, like, it really depends on if I want a challenge or if I want to satisfy my nerdage needs. So very much that. But, like, if a character has more than one design, I will choose a design that is most pleasing to my aesthetic, or most challenging if I feel like I need a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
Valid reasons. And that kind of also brings us over to question number 3 in a very natural way, because all of your cosplays are very sharp, very tailored, very neat. And we were wondering if you're self-taught or if you've studied, like, tailoring or seam work before.
I'm actually studying right now. I am studying textile design and handicraft here in Denmark. It's not a tailoring education per se, but we have like patterning classes, and like knitting and embroidery and print classes and coloring classes, stuff like that. So we have, like, sort of an overall all around like package thing going on. But, like, sometimes I will go back to basics and do what I did when I was 14 and just be like, throw it over my head and cut a hole here and pin here and then,
sometimes that works.
Sometimes that works way better than actually patterning. I try to pattern because I like to pattern, but sometimes it's just not possible and you need to drape it. Yeah. Which is basically what everybody does when they're 14. It has a name. You just say, well, I'm not a patterner, I'm a draper.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a Starbit cosplay is more of a draper than a pattern person.
Yeah. Yes. I haven't, like I follow her and I like her a lot. She's a great person. But she seems more of a draper to me. But what she does looks incredible because draping it's a fast way to get really good results if you don't have the mathematical brain to sort of process patterns, 2D patterns, to a 3D model, which is basically what patterning needs.
Because it's all about visualizing in your head beforehand, and that can be really difficult for some people.
Yeah, I had a panel at KawaiiCon where I tried to sort of explain basic patterning, like transforming a base dress pattern into all these sorts of dresses, like moving things around, like getting like cuts where you need them. And people were just like looking like question mark, like, what is she talking about? I was drawing 2D and showing them 3D dresses, and I was like, well, you just cut here, move this there, and like, ta-da! And so, but I think some of them learned something, maybe, but yeah, it's hard when you don't do it.
If your mind doesn't already work that way, I think.
Yeah, and for me, who's been working with it for 6 years now, it's a bit hard to sort of not regress, but sort of put myself in their shoes and like see it from their point of view. It's really hard, but it's also like it's a process of learning while you do it. A lot of people actually do it when they drape without realizing it. So yeah.
It's easier to visualize it when you already know why you're doing what you do. So
yeah, like for example, in some jackets and stuff, you'll have a seam going over the chest here.
Yeah, like a princess seam.
A princess seam is actually all the way down. I think here it's called a husarsnitt. I don't think what it is in Norwegian or in English actually, but it's like on the military jackets, basically. But the one thing that I did wrong when I was draping before I learned patterning, doggy, was that the cut actually needed to be in the middle of the chest if you wanted the chest to look bigger, but on the outside of the chest if you wanted to minimize the chest. So that's, for example, a really good like tip to any cross-dressers or anyone with smaller chests than their characters, that if you move it around a little bit, it'll look different. So yeah, it's experimenting will also teach you that. It just takes a little bit longer if you don't know it.
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe we should show some pictures of Chikara.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot. I have collected some pictures just to show people what you've done so far. So I've just picked some of your recent cosplays and I put them in a file. So I'm just gonna.
So if people are watching now, they can understand what we mean about the tailored looks and the perfect seams and everything looking so that's good.
Mind you, I don't know what these girls chose at all. I don't know.
I've just chosen a little bit of this and that, and the first one is not going to look very tailored because it's a bikini. So.
Ooh.
Yes. So I'm not familiar with this character. Who is it?
It's Yoko Rituna from Tengen Toppan Gurren Lagann. And she's 14.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I can see that. Obviously.
And this character is actually really, really dear to me. She's one of the first characters that I saw my good friend that I mentioned earlier that introduced me to cosplay. She was one of the first characters that I saw her cosplay. Oh. But also, Yoko is a character that evolves a lot during the series. Like, every character evolves a lot in Tengen Toppa, but Yoko has this whole developing storyline where she tries new things and she tries off, like, new personas and personalities. Like, which one is she really? She's got this whole identity phase going on.
So it's about finding yourself.
Very, and she's just such a sweetheart about it, without being, the boring sort of flat type of girl character. She's actually pretty badass.
I like the look in your face in this picture. It's like, even though half of your face is covered by your hand, it's still really expressive. I think that's
Thank
very
you.
cool.
Silas from Sax Photography, who took this photo, is super talented, and everyone who sees this should go check out his photos and follow him if they dig it too.
Yeah.
But she's very good. He's very good at like capturing his models' sort of expressions, and sort of in editing make that pop even more. So I think that's partially why.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice picture, definitely. So
Yeah.
check him out. Silas, was that it?
Silas from Sax Photography on Facebook.
Cool. Next one is your Sakisu merry-go-round horse, which
Yes.
I got the joy of seeing live when you were at Desicon Fantasy. You wore it to your
Cosplay in
panel.
Japan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was Cosplay in Japan.
It was
yeah.
Cosplay in Japan, yeah.
Which was very cool.
Yeah, this is the costume that I qualified for the NCC with.
All right.
And this is actually taken after I qualified, which is why I look so sort of teary-eyed, because I was. And that's my very first corset.
Oh, cool.
Actually, yeah, the corset, it only tightens me in 6 centimeters, so it's not really a lot, but it gives that sort of extra emphasis on the waist, which is kind of needed for Sakiso's designs.
Yeah, his drawings are very, very slight, very thin.
Yeah, they're very, her designs are very nimble, like they're very sort of elf-like, because they're so fine and delicate, and I'm very...
Well, it doesn't look like a first attempt corset, I have to say. It looks very, very neat and tidy.
I spend a lot of time patterning that.
I believe you.
Yeah. And like the green you can see in the middle of the corset is actually hand painted. It's the fabric's natural woven pattern that I've painted. The little sort of threads that were sticking up, I painted those. It's actually the same pattern that you can see on the little sort of pinkish strips that are hanging down by my legs. That's the same fabric as well, but those are just painted pink everywhere.
Oh, right. Wow,
yeah.
That's very impressive.
So you can utilize fabric like that as well if it has a sort of woven in pattern as well.
Yeah, very cool.
Takes a lot of time though.
Is Ranma.
Ranma!
Yes. Which I thought was a very cute cosplay. Very well executed, even though it's a very simple design.
Yeah, Ranma's designs are so simple. All Rumiko Takahashi's designs are super, super simple. But Ranma has a special place in my heart because it was my first complete manga series.
Oh, cool.
Actually, I read Witch first, I think, which is actually Italian produced. I didn't know before until recently. But then I picked up Ranma afterwards and actually finished that up as my first ever manga before I even read into Naruto and all that stuff. I didn't even know it was there. Because I bought this at a local kiosk and I was the only one buying it and he kept on buying it just for me.
Aww,
so, yeah, he was very nice.
I watched the anime, which is really hilarious.
It's super hilarious. It's just a bit long.
Yeah.
Like the series is a bit long in general because I mean it's 38 books or something.
A lot of fillers.
Especially in the anime. The movies are complete fillers. Like, oh my god, the movies are so random.
Which tends to be the case with a lot of anime movies.
Yeah, but I think Ranma is actually worse. I don't know if it's just 80s, 90s animes that are movies are like that, but I feel like that's bad. That's what is happening? Are you serious?
And now this wig is actually 2 wigs that you had to attach to each other.
Yeah, because the style in the drawings are very it has so much volume. It's so big. So I sewed 2 wigs together to get that thick ponytail as well as the big bangs and the poof. So that took a little time, but I tend to do that to a lot of cosplays actually, so wigs together because there's so much hair. Yoko actually had 3 wigs in that wig.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably a good idea. I should probably do that the next time I need a lot of volume. I'll just buy.
It helps a lot. Also, if you need to spike a wig, it can help a lot to put in more webs in the beginning, or sort of plan where your spikes are going to be and put in webs so that it fits with the spike as well.
Yeah, because it's completely possible to buy loose wefts and just add to a wig.
Yeah,
That's not
just
an issue.
if you buy 2 cheap wigs, just cut one up and put that in, which is what I did here.
Yeah, and this is San from Princess Mononoke.
Yes.
She's also very pretty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also quite the simple but very, very easily recognizable cosplay, I would say.
Yeah, very, and it's actually really, really comfortable, except for the fur, because the damn hat keeps falling off. Because it's pretty back heavy, so I usually put like the mask on my head because it fits on my head like a helmet. But because it's so heavy, it keeps it falling off, so you have to like push it back a lot. So I'm gonna look into putting little combs in it so it can stick in my wig instead.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
But it looks very, very comfortable, I have to say.
So comfortable. It's the perfect Sunday cosplay. Like.
Yeah, I feel like Sunday cosplays should always be comfortable because Sunday you're always like exhausted and like, whew.
Yeah. Ranma is actually a Sunday cosplay of mine as well. So, because it's pretty nice.
And you recently did this. This is one of your newest ones, which I love because Sailor Moon is so cute. The whole show.
Yeah, it's Sailor Moon is a true classic. I was really happy that we got to do this together. It's me and Suum's cosplay, me and Rose cosplay, Cami Renee from the Love Moustache Pro. Which I'm a part of, and then it was Figaro and I don't remember Cornelius handle, but those two from Sweden that made up the group all together, and then it was actually Eidik from Norway that joined us as Black Mask. But I was just so honored that these girls wanted to help me actually learn a choreography and actually like do a dance with me because I cannot dance. But
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it was actually a really easy costume to make. Like I did this in about a week, but it's such a comfy costume as well. Which is weird with the short skirt and stuff.
Yeah, I imagine I would have to wear at least some shorts underneath or something.
We actually built in like a sort of a tricot in the like a body stocking. So the shirt actually goes down and becomes a body stocking underneath the shirt. The skirt.
I have seen some pictures of the progress making of that because you have put up some pictures on your page, and I'm like so amazed that it's so fitted and so well made. I'm like, wow.
I have a base pattern that's pre-fitted to me, so I can't lose any centimeters and stuff ever, or gain weight, or so I just need to be like this forever to get that pattern, because it's really hard to. It's not really hard, but it's really annoying to have to remake. So that's why everything fits so nicely on me. It's because I cheat a lot and have a pre-made pattern always.
I wouldn't say it's cheating. I would just say it's practical.
It's very practical, which is also why I can like pull stuff out of my butt in no time sometimes. Yeah.
I think that was everything. Yeah. So now people have a little bit of an insight in what kind of costumes you've made before. And Sally, I didn't find a good picture of your Granado Espada, which is very, very beautiful.
If you go on her page and you go on photos, and then you can press like.
There should be photos of where my page is tagged at. There should be some there from Shira Ang Photography from Singapore, as well as Sheila Forsman that took the promotional photos for the NearCon thing this year.
Yeah, so it's out there. People, you can.
So if you want to go there, it's there.
Yeah.
If you press photos posted to Chikara Cosplay, then
Okay,
you find
posted
good.
too. Okay, great.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Okay, let's move on into our questions. Annabella, do you want to take like question number 4?
Yeah. How much time do you put into your costume on average?
Ooh, that varies so much. Like, for example, Sailor Jupiter that you were just shown, that took about a week because I didn't have materials and stuff. But from I had the materials till when I sort of finished it, it took about a week. But like Ganado Spada, I started with in January collecting materials and stuff, and then like my sewing progress only was probably about a month, maybe a month and a half of intense sewing, like summer vacation intense sewing every day, 8 hours.
Wow.
Kind of, yeah. But that was with embroidery, and that was with Italian quilt, and that was with making pants with fucking, sorry, like
It's okay. We swear.
10 pattern pieces in and painting shoes. So there was a lot of work involved in that. Like Ranma took 4 days.
In my mind, it sounds like you're super efficient and that you do things super fast. So if you did that in 1 month, I'm like, wow, I would
Well,
have done
maybe
that
more
in
like a month and a half. I think to be fair, maybe a month and a half, because it did have some work done, like some patterning. The patterning was basically done when I started the sewing, like with test fittings and stuff. So probably more like a month and a half. Yeah.
Do you make mock-ups first, or do you go like straight on the
I
real fabric?
usually for more like complex pieces, I do mock-ups for like Sakiso and the Musketeer. I did mock-ups for everything, from the corset to the jacket, boots, everything. But for like Ganma, I just were like, actually, I did a fitting of this shirt because that was a pattern that I had from a book. It's an actual men's pattern shirt because he's a man and the man's, so it makes sense to me. So I had to like make sure that fitted, that my boobies weren't too big, or that it wasn't too loose around my butt or something. So I did a quick mock-up of that, but nothing with like closures and stuff that you actually should be doing. Yoko, I didn't mock up at all. I just like winged it. Same with same with Jupiter actually. I didn't mock up Jupiter at all.
So it's kind of like, you can do a
If
little.
it's complex, I do it. If I'm in doubt, I do it always. But if I feel like I know what I'm doing, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a good solution because not everything is going to need a mock-up if you've done something like that before and you know it's going to fit.
Also, if you know the pattern fits, I don't feel like you need to do a mock-up. But if you feel like you've gained maybe 1 kilo, 2 kilos, been having a bit of candy, having a lot of couch time with your significant other or cat or whatever, I feel like you should like test your patterns. But if you know it fits, like I used this like 2 days ago and it fitted, then whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a problem.
No.
Okay, so you mentioned panels earlier, and you've had quite a few panels. What have they been about, and who would you recommend should, go to your panels? Who would get the most out of it, do you think?
I did a corsetting panel, basic corsetting panel at Chikara Cosplay in Japan last October, and I have done a cosplay around the world sort of thing where we had a Canadian cosplayer, Mia from Denmark, who is quarter Japanese and have lived in Japan, did on Japanese cosplaying and conventions, and I did on Danish. So we talked a bit about that. And then I've done the patterning panel with basing patterning and moving sort of cuts and moving width around on your pattern without actually alternating your pattern from the sort of, you have a base pattern and you alternate that to fit something else. I'd say people that would get the most out of my panels are probably people that have at least tried sewing before or tried making a pattern before. I think if you're all green to sewing, like if you're brand new to making patterns or tracing a pattern or anything like that, I feel like you would understand what I'm saying, but you might not know how to utilize it properly. So maybe like try sewing a dress. Like okay, so when I close this inseam, it looks like this, and when I take a bit, like when my pattern looks like this, it actually fits in my waist. And I think if you have that very basic knowledge, like it's very, very little, I think you would get way more out of my panels because I talk a lot about those kind of things, like actually fitting kind of things. And I think that you would get most out of that if you tried a little bit, just a little bit, like taking a waist in like 2 centimeters.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know sort of what I mean.
Yeah, I always end up making my cosplays too big.
Me too.
Because I think I'm bigger than I am. So.
Always trust your measurements. Like your measuring tape will not lie to you. That might be good, and that might be really bad.
It might.
But I have learned the hard way to trust my math as well. Like when I calculate something, I'm like, no, that can't be right, and I do differently. It's always wrong, always. So if you calculate something and measure something, that is like the law. Try that first before you try something else.
I did that with like making a circle skirt. So when you know how to make the circle, it was like you should add those 2 numbers and then divide them by, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I have no idea how this will take me, but I'm gonna try this, and it worked.
Yeah.
When it worked, I was like, wow, this wasn't hard at all.
It's sort of like in math when you learn how to calculate the circumference of a triangle. They will give you a formula, and they'll be like, this is the thing. You need to do this thing. And you're like, okay. But it works. And then when you measure with your ruler afterwards in, like, 4th grade, you're like, wow, it was right. Yeah. I think it's sort of that thing.
Math facts.
I love math.
Yeah, you're the only one.
Math magical, right?
Do you want to take the next question, Annabella? Number 6.
Yes. You travel around to different cons, and I guess you get invited as a guest and stuff like that. And what's that like?
I've actually only recently started getting invited to different conventions, which feels amazing, to be honest. It's very nice to sort of feel that recognition from someone who organizes something that means so much to a lot of people, and they're like, well, a lot of these people that are coming to my convention would probably like to see someone like me. And that feels really great. But I've only been invited to 3 cons or so far. So hopefully that number will keep increasing so I can travel around and look at a lot of things.
Has that happened after the NCC, or?
Not in sort of direct relation to the NCC, like because of the NCC, because a lot of the things were sort of in the works before the NCC, but it's definitely after I qualified for the NCC.
Yeah.
So, like that, sort of yes, but no.
Yeah, it kind of acts like a catalyst, I guess.
Yeah.
Your breakthrough.
You get your name out to like the Nordic countries. Like they will see the NCC and they'll be like, okay, this is people that I did not know before, and now that I know these people, there are options too. Yeah. So I really want to travel way more with cosplay. I feel like cosplay is a great way to sort of meet new people, and meeting new people from different places in Scandinavia, but also, like, if that's even possible, the world would be bigger than anything that I really ever have accomplished before or
It's
tried.
like broadening your horizon, I suppose.
Yeah, and meeting cultures, and I mean, of course, there's the convention part of it, like the place where you're wearing the costumes and you're kidding around and stuff. But like, there's also after the convention. When the convention is closed at night, you go out probably to eat with organizers or fellow guests from other places in the world, or try local dishes, or like stuff like that is interesting, and it's very giving to a person to know other cultures and to know the people within those cultures. So I hope someday that cosplay will take me there.
Yeah, and to
So
think that
so
all of this happened because you started doing something you really love.
Yeah, and those people like what I love, so that's amazing.
yeah. But you're like saying that you kind of want to live of cosplay one day?
If I could pick, I would sit on my sewing machine every day and sew, and I'd do it in my own time and with my own money, comfortably, with the materials that I wanted to do it with, and not like, oh no, I can't do that because it's too expensive and stuff. Like if I was rich, I'd do cosplay like that. But if not, the only other way that I could ever justify doing cosplay like that if it was my job, because it's just a hobby, and you can't really justify spending that much money on a hobby if it's not for anything. Like,
Well, it's for you. It's for making
it's
you
for
happy.
me, of course, but you know, I can't spend 10,000 krona on a cosplay on a regular basis, like every second month, because
Yeah.
who has those kind of money? Nobody.
And then you wouldn't afford to eat, and then you wouldn't fit into all of your
No, because I
patterns.
can't lose any weight, because then I will fit. It's like it doesn't. No, I can't.
Yeah.
So yes, I would definitely like to live up cosplay. I enjoy myself the most when I cosplay, and I actually I when I'm not stressing out 2 days before a con, I'm 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 the most relaxed and the most sort of in the zone when I'm doing a costume or sewing a dress or stuff like that. So
I think most of us can relate to that. That cosplayers just feel at peace with the world.
it's like if I can just hole up in my workshop and make this piece of clothing and put beads on it and whatever, I feel pretty good and watch a movie maybe.
Yeah.
Then that would be the perfect life, probably.
Yeah, I have some comments from a viewer that says he didn't know cosplay was this big in the West. In Taiwan, it has gotten very big, and he says that people are into cosplay from all walks of life in Japan. So
Yeah.
it's nice to know. Thanks for your comments, James Thomas.
I was actually recently in Japan, and cosplay is very different there than from it is here, because it's a little bit commercialized, both, but it's also like to be able to go down the street and go into like a two-story store that has wigs only.
Mm.
I've seen those on pictures.
That's nuts.
That would be so amazing. I could go to Japan just for that.
Yeah.
I was literally in heaven, but I chose to save my money for Harajuku because my priorities were right. And then I proceeded the next day to spend like all of that money on figurines. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's you have to prioritize or you're just not going to get anywhere.
No, man. No.
Okay, so what kind of cons do you usually attend? It's like mainly Scandinavian cons, or have you done something outside of Scandinavia as well?
I've been to England once.
Ooh.
Not invited though, but as a regular attendee. I was at MCM Expo in like the winter MCM Expo. What, 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Did you enjoy it, or?
I think it was a different experience, definitely. But I think if I lived in the area, I would probably just go one day, or for like the Euro cosplay, or I would just go for a single day and sort of see everything and sort of be on my way, and I probably wouldn't wear cosplay there because I feel like there's so many people that enjoying being there in a costume. It needs to be like, it would need to be like san or ranma and not very like something not with any volume and something not very warm
Or breakable.
or breakable or with pointy things or with props, or so you see where I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little hard being a cosplayer in that scene. I feel like it's more like pointed towards branding and selling, and like it's very commercialized, I feel.
Yeah.
So it's a very different way of con, because it's an expo, it's not a con, than what we see here.
Yeah, because I have a feeling that Scandinavian cons are a lot more social than they are commercial, at least
definitely
now. So far, they might become more commercial in the future, I believe.
I sound so weird because I'm like, yes, it's very, very that. But I have the pleasure of being a part of the Danish cosplay magazine Dicus. Name dropping, and we have been so lucky to be able to interview both the Danish con Genki, but also our oldest con, J-Pop Con, which hosts the ECG, Your Cosplay, and WCS qualifications every year. We have had the pleasure of being able to interview all the judges there. And I've been lucky enough to do it 3 times now. So we ask this question where we ask, what's this convention like compared to your home? And I have not met a single, well, the ones from Norway and like Sweden, they're like, oh, well, it's pretty much like home. But from Russia and US and Australia, they're like, it's very social. Like, you're dancing outside, you're singing together. That's crazy social. Like, you would never see that in Russia, they say. And I'm like, okay, what do you do in Russia?
Yeah.
So, like, because that's our way of doing it, because it's a very social hobby for us. But
it's kind of strange because they say that Scandinavians are kind of reserved, you know, but as soon as you go to a convention, it's like,
well, stereotypes. Asians can't drive, right? But I've seen some pretty good drivers that are Asian. So, but I think our cultures are a little bit reserved, but we're also very, like, friendly, and a lot of people would open their houses and like, do you want to, like, we're having dinner, do you want dinner, because you're here and we're having dinner. So like, I haven't met any Scandinavian people that wouldn't do that. So our hospitality is also very sort of good, even if we're a little bit reserved. So we might not get like super close and personal with you the first time, but maybe next time we meet we'll be like, oh my god, you're my best friend. I think that's sort of what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know because I really enjoy the social atmosphere in the. Well, I've only been to conventions in Norway so far, but it's nice to know that all of Scandinavia has this very social, accepting culture, and where you can, you know, just play together and be goofy and make new friends. Because I'm horrible at that in real life.
Yeah, I honestly think cosplay is a great way of doing it. Like, I'm cosplaying from something, and you're cosplaying from something that I like. So we can talk about your cosplay, and then you can say you like my cosplay, so we know that we both like the same series, and then we can talk about that for 3 hours, and then we can sort of, you can have my Facebook, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoy that aspect of cosplaying. It's helped me get a lot of friends.
I'm actually wondering one thing, though. Do you have any Danish conventions that you can recommend us Norwegians to attend?
Well, yes, I actually would recommend our 2 biggest ones, which is J-Pop Con, which is where the big cosplay show is with the WCS and ECG and Your Cosplay, as well as China Cosplay Super Show, which is in China. Funny that. That show is amazing. I was organizing it last year as well as hosting it, and oh my god, these people blow me away every year. They're so good at what they do, and I want to be up there with them, but it's so horrifying because they're so good, and like they mix all this sound, and it's some of it could literally be taken from like a movie. And I'm like, what? How do you do this? Oh, well, I know this guy that has this like sound equipment, and we taped it on there, and then he had this room, and I'm like, what? Okay, fine, I'll do it on my phone. Great. um, so definitely JFFCon is worth a visit just for that. Like, there's plenty of other things to do at the convention, but just for the cosplay show is worth the entrance fee. I can guarantee you. But also Genki, which is our summer convention, sort of. It's usually in the beginning of August, which is a really cozy con, and it's not very like there's nothing serious going on. It's just about having fun and sort of chilling out together. But it's a really well organized con, and everything, at least it seems like everything is as it should be, and they have a pretty good cosplay show there as well every year. In general, our cosplay shows here is just pretty okay. Like, the acts are pretty well planned. I'm very impressed with the Danes like that. So, but also upcoming is Geekcore, which I'm a part of the bar crew. We have a special +18 event every night. That's called Barcade, sort of.
I love puns. Puns are awesome.
So if you have the opportunity, definitely come down and like attend Geekcore. It's a bit of a more, it's a lot more esport gaming convention, not very cosplay convention-y, but it's, if you're +18 and sort of wants a little bit more of a adult time with your other friends, Geekcore is probably the way to do it in Denmark. Not that under 18s can't come in, but like there will be parties, and we can't serve beer to anyone under 18. So.
But it's good that you cater to both age groups, at least.
Definitely, I think the bar is the only place where there isn't like, but there should be like StarCraft tournaments and League of Legends tournaments, as well as a cosplay catwalk. I think it is this year. With focus for crafting and group crafting, but like there's panels and stuff as well. But it's really cozy, and it's still kind of small because the first one was last year. So yeah, definitely.
But that seems also to be a thing now with a lot of the gaming conventions or expos, that they're adding cosplay catwalks or competitions to their events to attract that part of the community as well, which I think is really cool.
Definitely. I think the gaming industry is really starting to sort of see how big an opportunity a good-looking cosplayer is, like a cosplayer that looks like their character. Like, what fan, like if they didn't know about cosplaying, say, what fan would pee their pants if, like, for example, like Lara Croft came sort of prancing down whatever aisle and be like, hey, by the way, my new game is out.
Yeah. They love it. It's a thing.
What kind of commercial plus is that? So I think that's sort of what's going on. Like, they can see the possibilities in this.
Yeah.
So I think that's why. Also, they have so much money, so why not?
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Yeah. Right. We'll just have to move on because we are going to be so overtime today. Because
I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Don't be. You're very, very interesting to talk to. Which convention have you enjoyed the most? Like, which one was most fun for you to attend?
In recent days, I think it's a tie between SVS Con, which was the last con this year, and my first con in like 6 years ago, but also Kawaii Con that I attended recently in Norway was really, really nice because of the people that I was there with. My whole performing crew, as well as the organizing crew and stuff, they did an amazing job, honestly. So I felt like that was a really nice con, and it seemed like everyone was having a good time. So,
yeah, everybody seems like they say the same thing, so I'm like, No, why didn't I go?
But I always have to say that my last con was my best con. I
Because
really
it's
enjoyed
fresh in your
Banzai.
memory.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Banzai Con, for example, as well, because of the people that I was there with and because of what we did. Like, I performed for the second time in my life, and that was really terrifying. But like, um, stuff like that. Like, it's new experiences every time, and you treasure all of them equally in the end, I think. But like, some will be fresher in your memory.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. I totally get that. We can skip like what the Danish cosplay community is because we've already talked a little bit about that in the Scandinavian things. So we can just go to how was your experience with the NCC? You qualified with the Sakuso cosplay, but how was how was it competing in the NCC and what was it like?
The NCC was an experience. I really enjoyed my time on stage and my time backstage before the show, and like basically the whole show thing. I enjoyed. Like, that was amazing, and talking to the others afterwards was really, really nice. But I feel like the organizing of the NCC part of NERCON could have been way better. Like, we were promised so many things that were not kept. Like, we got food tickets that wouldn't really cash in a proper meal and stuff. So it was pretty hard when, sending a helper out that's supposed to help you get into cosplay, like sending those out to get you something to eat. And NERCON being the size that it is, that would take half an hour to an hour because we were supposed to go to the organizers and the helpers cafeteria, but sometimes there would be an hour queue there, and then going back to the place where we were stationed as well, and it was just a lot of back and forth. We were missing water. Like, we had soda in the VIP room, but there was no regular water, and there's a limit to how far you can go on just soda and like sugar. So we had a lot of uncomfortable experiences, and I was, to be very frank, a little disappointed. I was actually very disappointed in what NERCON was compared to what I had hoped for it to be. Because I wanted this to be, sounding very selfish here, but I wanted this to be sort of the best time of my life yet. And it was.
But I don't think that's
a huge
unfair to
letdown.
expect when it's such a big event.
No, I honestly don't think it was either. But it's like we were in the same sleeping hall as our judges from like the Nordic countries, and we were all sleeping in one hall. The Finns didn't get their sleeping gear that they were promised till the second night, and like. It was cold in there, and some people were really like freezing, and like I had an outdoor like sleeping bag with like -5 certificate and stuff. So I was just like earplugs in and let's go. But some people were freezing all night and didn't sleep well because of it, and I just don't think that's okay when we were basically the reason they could do that big a show on Swedish TV. I think that you deserve to give the content of your show. Like, without us, there wouldn't really be something to show. So I think, and I really honestly mean that we should have had a better treatment. But even if, with that said, I'm really proud of what we all did on stage, and I really love what the stage show was, and watching it now, I'm really proud of everyone from every single country, and I think the people who won 100% deserve it, and I just wish the organization
It seemed like a very
had been
well
better.
judged competition, like the judges knew what they were doing.
Definitely.
But it does say a lot that they should have taken a better care of the participants, because you've traveled a long way, you've worked really hard for months. You're
Like, when we
putting on a
came-
show, the least they could do is make you comfortable.
Yeah, like when we arrived at the scene, nobody knew who we were, or what the NCC was, or where the NCC room was, or where we were going to sleep, or how we got there, or And that was after traveling for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's rough. So.
At least it did not show on stage that
No,
you guys had
at
a
least.
comfortable night. So.
I'm so glad about the outcome of the show. Everyone was so, like, all the participants were so professional about the show that it was just like, let's go. This is why we were here. We might as well do this right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your performance was really good too. I mean, it was very, very well timed and on point with the whole shooting thing.
Thank you.
JC actually used your performance in one of her panels at ToruCon.
Yeah, I know. She asked me, and that was really humbling because her act was so nice. Like it was a really nice twist to sort of be like, oh well, I played this character, so this character is sort of me, right? And I felt like that was such a great twist.
Yeah, it was very clever use of the character, absolutely.
But she is smart, that one.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
Not to be underestimated.
No.
Okay, well, we're pretty much 6 minutes over time, so we should probably start thinking about wrapping things up. So we'll do the last segment of our show now, which is geekery. Have you played, read, or seen anything interesting, funny, geeky this last week?
I'm not sure.
I can start, and you can think about it a little bit if you want to.
Definitely. Go ahead.
Do that. Okay, so this weekend we went out to visit some friends who live outside of Oslo, and with our new car, we bought our first car this week, so yay!
Oh, congratulations!
So we played Pathfinder on Friday and Sunday night, tabletop RPG, and we killed a lot of monsters and stuff, and looted their bodies. So yeah, had a lot of fun, ate a lot of candy.
And you dice shamed your dice.
I dice shamed my dice. I put it into a cream puff pastry and posted it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it worked. Didn't botch all night, so it was good.
Oh, then it worked a lot, I think.
Yeah, how about you, Annabella?
Well, as I talked a little about earlier before the show, I went ghost hunting at this abandoned sanatorium yesterday. It was awesome. And I watched all of Pretty Little Liars, the season finale of everything. I hope there will not be any more seasons of that horrible show. I hate it. It sucks. But I just had to watch it through, but it sucks. It's really bad. And I watched JC from Fandamly had a live Warbler workshop a few days ago where she made some kind of bone pieces for her Maleficent cosplay.
All right, yeah. Some button thingies.
Yes. So I watched through that, and that was quite good. So I guess she's going to put up some more videos in the future with Warbler and stuff, and probably sewing because she loves seams and stuff. And I think that's quite nice because then you can actually see and learn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, one last question, because my hubby just posted on YouTube. He's wondering if cosplayers who get invited to conventions, do they get paid, or how does that work?
Bigger cosplayers such as like Jessica Nigri or Yayahan, I think they might like require a fee. But for a person such as myself, I get invited and I get travel and like hotel paid. Usually food is still on me, depending on the convention and how much fun they have to do with. But I would have to pay for my own food anyway here at home, so that's sort of the same. Not when I'm in Norway, because you guys take 3 times as much as here, but still.
That is true.
But no, I don't get a pay. I get the travel expenses and sort of housing paid.
Yeah, and that's not bad.
No,
you get to go to one for free, I guess. So
free experiences, sort of. Yeah.
And you get to do what you love.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. I remembered a geeky thing that I've done this week. I finished reading Dragon Ball again.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Are there many books in that series?
It's 42 books.
Oh wow, yeah, that is a lot.
I started like 3 weeks ago. So it's a good. I have a lot of traveling time every day, so I read it in a train. So it's a good pastime.
Very. I love reading. Okay, well, that pretty much wraps it up. I just have to say thank you for saying yes to come on our show and talk about yourself and all the amazing stuff that you do. We appreciate it a lot.
Yes.
No problem.
And if you ever want to, you are very welcome to come back and rejoin us for some more discussions.
That could be fun. That could be very fun. Definitely.
And I'm definitely going to take you up on that. If I have any sewing trouble, I am coming to you. No.
Do it!
Do it. Yes. So, well, and then I would like to thank the audience for watching us through this episode. It's awesome that you guys ask us questions and send in comments. Thank you so much for that. And join us next Sunday, because then we will be talking about cosplay photography. And we're going to try to get some cosplay photographers on as guests, so we can talk a little bit about the process of taking good cosplay photography. Yes. So that'll be very exciting.
It will.
Yes. So until then, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CosCast, and we put out updates there every week. So if you need information, just go there and you'll find it. And you can find me at Pixie Dust Cosplay on Facebook, and Annabella at Annabella Cosplay, and Chikara at Chikara Cosplay on Facebook. And I can also be found on Instagram under Anita Pixie Dust. Chikara, do you have an Instagram?
Yeah, it's I am Chikara, as well as Twitter is also I am Chikara. So
there you go. She's on Twitter and Instagram as well. And Annabella can be found at NGH Sunniva on Instagram too.
Yeah, that name is terrible, I know.
Yeah, well, they can find you at least. It's easy to find. Okay, so that's it for tonight's show. Thank you for watching, and we'll be seeing you in a week. Goodbye.
Bye.